Hello, Vocoders, and here we are again. And in this video, I'm going to cover three things: zero iteration loops, infinite loops, and nested loops. Okay. Now, the first one is, and I'm going to build this from the beginning, so I might make a mistake along the way here or there. If I do, that's just here's how it is, and hopefully we can fix it before the video gets too long. So, starting from scratch, let's import the module first. It allows us to draw. We're going to call it PRTL because that's what the curriculum has been using. And then let's create an object by defining it as using that method there. That's what creates objects. And then we'll create a window, call it WN, and loop through our code, which allows it to be seen. Okay. So what's the first one? A zero iteration loop. Now what that is it's a loop that iterates, or in other words, iterates is repeats 0 times. Typically, what that means is that it never starts, or it never started. 1, 2, 3. Try to give the right amount of quotations to end that multi-line comment. So what might that look like? Let's say I set my count equal to 0, and I say, well, while count is greater than 1, I want my turtle, my painter object, to go forward 10 and then go right 91, just slightly off so it's not the same picture. And notice if I run it, nothing happens. You might be saying, hey, nothing happened. Well, show you that something actually happens, it's just never run this, is let's make it stamp in the very beginning. Notice it stamps, but then this code never happens. That's a zero iteration loop because this never happens. While count is greater than 1, well, count is 0. So you can see how that doesn't work. Okay, so that's a zero iteration loop, an example of it. And let me get rid of those, add it here. Okay. Now the next one we're on is what's an infinite loop. Now an infinite loop is a loop that goes on forever, or never stops. What's an example of that? As I say count is equal to 0, and then I write a while loop that says while count is less than 1, painter.forward 10, painter.right 91. And what's going to happen is I stamp, then forward right 90, and so forth. And what's interesting is the longer we watch, that's going to turn more and more because of that 91 I did. Well, optical illusion, which is kind of interesting. Okay. And that just keeps happening forever because this is an infinite loop. Okay. So we can stop it here. If you use a different program, you have to learn how to stop it using programs. It's like Control-C. It's actually creating a circle because of all the rounded edges from our zoomed out perspective. But really, if you zoom in, it's not a circle. It's a lot of shapes there. Interesting. Okay, so I'm going to stop that. And I'll exit out of this code. And then we'll get into nested loops. Okay. So the last one here is a nested loop. And a nested loop is a loop within a loop. And there can be a lot of loops within loops. In math, we call it composite functions like f of g of x. You've gotten there in math. Okay, now, what might that look like? And I'll do something similar to what you'll see in your lesson there. So what I want to do is I'm going to create something like your lesson where I want it to stamp down in a row going across. And then later, after each stamp down, I want it to go down. So let's say we set x equal to, so 0, 0, and I want to go left 50. And let's set y equal to also 50. So I'll go left 50, up 50 to start. And then we're going to say while x is less than, say, 100, what do I want to do? So I'm going to want my object, my painter, to stamp down. Actually, to painter.stamp. Well, let's fill a color. Fill color red. Actually, do gold for Vaqueros. I think that's a string that I'll recognize. And then have it stamped down. And then from there, after it does that, you want it to increase the x by 50. That way the loop is not an infinite loop and it keeps going. So stamp, fill color. Oh, it also has to go, actually, then what we want to do is, nothing's happened. So first thing I'm going to do is have it go to x comma y. So after it goes to the point that it's at, it's going to fill it with gold, stamp down, increase by 50, go to that new point where the y is still the same, fill it with gold, stamp down, and so forth. Let's see what it looks like. Very good. And you can see that there. Now I'm going to get rid of the stamp in the beginning, so it doesn't have that. Right. That way you can see that. And I also don't want to lift up, so let's do painter.pen up in the beginning. So then once it gets here, it goes to that. Oh, well, I don't want to do anything. We'll keep it all together. A little bit cleaner that way. So first thing I want to do is painter.pen up, and then go to that spot. And after it's at that spot, and after it fills the color, then go down. And down is the method you call it, and stamp down. And then increase by 50 and follow that route. There you go. Very nice. And let's have it go one more time, less than or equal to, have it run for total. Okay, so that's one loop. Now, if I want it nested, well, I want, after it stamps down, I want it to then go downwards. So lift up, go to that spot, fill the color, pen down, and stamp. And then after it stamps, and see, this is the confusing part. I want to make sure I don't forget this. So I'm actually going to put this at the top, like that, by 50 up there. And then we're going to have our nested loop within it. Well, notice the while loop is an indent within this while loop. That's why it's nested. Now, while the y value is greater than or equal to, and it's at negative 50, 50, so let's say less than, well, it's greater than negative 100, what do I want to do? Almost the same exact thing. Well, after it's 50, let's also have it, no. And then we're going to have it, so stamp down, and currently it's at negative 50, and then the x value is actually going to increase by 50, which is okay. No, we don't want to increase by 50 yet. Do we want to increase by 50? I don't know. Let's keep going. While y is less than 100, we want this object to, it's got to stamp down, then we want it to go to x comma y, which now it's going to be at, but the problem is it added 50, so now it's going to be over right one. But I don't want to add 50 yet. This will actually be outside of this while loop, the original one. Let's get indented backwards, so it's under the original one. So while y is less than, go to that original spot, negative 50, 50, and then I want it to subtract by 50, so it makes it goes down. And then it'll go to that spot and do the same thing, where let's basically follow it. Painter.pen up, go to that spot, painter.fill color, and I'm going to switch the color to black, black and gold, the Keros, and then go pen down and painter.stamp. And that way it stamps when it goes down 50, and then that while loop, since it's still greater than 100, hopefully it goes to it and stamps again. Once it breaks this while loop, then it will increase by 50, allowing it to go to the next stamp. I hope this works. Let's see. Almost. So we had it go to that first spot, filled it with gold, and it stamped. And then after it went down, I'm going to get rid of this so it doesn't go down as far. And then it went right 50. Oh, but then the problem is when I said go to x, y, now it's down here at this y value down here. So what I want it to do is after it goes down, I'm going to reset the y value back to 50. That way it goes back to its original point. There you go. And that's one way to do this. Okay? And there are different ways. Maybe you can come up with a faster method, but you can see I created the object I wanted while using a nested loop, a while loop within a while loop. So once it, originally, again, if I comment out this, you can see that it just creates the 4 things across. But a nested while loop is a while loop within the while loop. Is before it goes on, before it does the second, third, and fourth iteration, or really the first, second, third iteration, because it's repeating, I have it do something within that. So within that, do this. And then go to the first iteration, within that, do something. Then go to the second iteration, within that, do something, and so forth. And that comes in handy in coding, that the idea of nested loops. So there it is, one way. You might come up with another method, but those are the 3 topics this lesson. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me or come to office hours, and I'll be more than happy to look at your code and help you. Bye-bye.